Hello YouTube and welcome back for another video. If you couldn't tell by the title and the thumbnail, we're not talking about the Separatist expansions. No. I thought about covering them, but you know what? Everyone and their brother when it comes to Star Wars Armada on YouTube is talking about them. And yeah, they look super interesting and super cool, but I figured, you know what? Everyone's already talking about them. Let's talk about something else, maybe something that not a ton of people are talking about. But I think definitely warrants a good discussion, and that is the changes to the pass system in Star Wars Armada. Now, for those of you who haven't heard, Strategic Advisor is no longer a legal card to play in Armada, and there have been changes as to how activations work in the game. So I figured first let's do a brief rundown on how activations have kind of worked up until this point, and now with 1.5, how they're going to work going forward, and what I think this means for the game. So, first, how do activations work? Well, it works by one player, the first player activating a ship, then the second player activating a ship, and the first player activating a ship, and so on and so forth. Same thing in the squadron phase. First player activates any unactivated squadrons. Second player activates any unactivated squadrons, and they both do this 2 squadrons at a time. Now, that's different. So, what really is the key operative term here is activation padding. Activation padding where you either spend the Strategic Advisor card, or like with the Super Star Destroyer, you would spend the pass token, or you would activate flotillas in order to prevent moving your main ships, like Super Star Destroyers or Star Destroyers, MC-80s, Starhawks, what have you, from moving those into engagement range too early. And activation padding, I don't think really became much of an issue until the flotilla expansions came out. With the Rebels, you could take a GR-75 for 18 points. For the Imperials, Gazanti Cruiser was 23. Now, with these flotilla expansions, there were no limits as to how many flotillas you could bring in a fleet. The errata dictating that you could only bring 2 flotilla ships per fleet was not introduced until after it was Wave 7 was the MC-75 and the Chimera expansions. So people would often bring like 4 or 5 flotillas. In fact, I think it was my 4th or 5th game of Star Wars Armada ever. I played against a Worlds competitor who always went to Worlds and placed, in most cases, top 10 there. And he was running a Sloan list that had a Gladiator, a Quasar, the Hateful Eight, and then just a ton of flotillas. And he was able to out-activate me and just completely destroy me. Was that fun? Well, not particularly, because I activated all my ships and he just moved some flotillas around, and then he moved his Quasar and his Gladiator into position and proceeded to just absolutely disintegrate my poor, unsuspecting Profundity. So, that wasn't such a great thing at the time, I think we can agree, and being only allowed to bring 2 flotillas per fleet is, in my opinion, and I think most people's opinions, a very good change to the game. So I mentioned the MC-75 expansion and the Profundity expansion, technically, wasn't it? Yes, the Profundity expansion and the Chimera expansion. You've got the MC-75 Armored Cruiser, Ordnance Cruiser, and then the ISD Kuat and Simoon refits. Awesome expansions, great upgrade cards, really cool. But the one upgrade card that is relevant for this video is Strategic Advisor. Yes, and many of you know at this point, Strategic Advisor is no longer legal in Armada. So even if you have the card, it is illegal to play it in an Armada match. Why is this? Well, we have the new pass token system that has been introduced. And I definitely like this new pass token system. Truly. It was very much necessary. Because, well, if you want to run a fleet with very few ships in it, you kind of have to run as an Imperial with either a Super Star Destroyer or some sort of like Thrawn 2-ship or Sloan 2-ship with Governor Price on one of the ships. And now, well, Rebels can do that too with the pass token system. But how does this pass token system really work? So, how does this new pass system work? Well, you and your opponent first count the number of ships total you have in your fleet. Not the number of ships that will be deployed, the ships total before deployment. So, like, say, for example, if you're running 3 ships with Radis and Profundity and some squadrons, but 2 of those ships are not deployed because one's in profundity, one is Radis in hyperspace, you still count 3 ships. Then you compare the number of ships you have to the number of ships your opponent has. So in this example, if I'm running 3 ships and my opponent is running, say, 5 ships, I have 2 fewer ships than my opponent, and so then I would get 2 pass tokens. Now, these pass tokens function differently than how they sort of did with the Super Star Destroyer up until 1.5. Because with the Super Star Destroyer, you got a pass token just inherently, basically a built-in strategic advisor. And then whenever you wanted to pass with the Super Star Destroyer, you would just place the pass token on the SSD to signify it has passed. Now, these pass tokens are effectively a discard. They're a limited commodity. You get, say, 2 pass tokens, and then twice during the entire game, you can discard a pass token to pass to your opponent. So there are a couple small rules or addendums that dictate how you can use these pass tokens, and these rules differ slightly whether you are going first or going second. So let's talk about first player. If you're going first, then you cannot spend a pass token immediately at the start of a turn. So, start of turn 2, all the commands have been set, is the first player's turn to activate. The second player has not activated yet. The first player must activate a ship. They cannot spend a pass token. Secondly, if the first player's unactivated ships, the number of unactivated ships for the first player are equal to or greater than the second player, the first player cannot spend a pass token. They have to activate a ship. So if the first player has, say, 4 inactivated ships, and the second player has 3 unactivated ships, or also 4 inactivated ships, then the first player must activate a ship. They cannot spend a pass token. Rules for second player are pretty much the same, except there's no start of round rule. So if start of turn 2, the first player activates a ship, the second player can then spend a pass token, but they can only spend that pass token if their number of unactivated ships is equal to or less than the first player. Slight difference there, because if both players have 4 inactivated ships and it's the second player's turn to activate, the second player can spend a pass token. So what does this mean for the meta? What does this mean for Armada competitive play and for list building? Overall, I think it's a very, very good thing. And that may sound like a strange thing to say, considering that because of this change, 3 cards have been banned and are illegal to play in Star Wars Armada. Yes, I said 3 cards. I mentioned Strategic Advisor earlier, but many of you probably know that Bail Organa and Governor Price are also banned. So what does this mean for the meta? What does this mean for Star Wars Armada competitive play and for list building? Overall, I think it's a very, very good thing. Because if you're playing a list like with, say, a bunch of small ships, you're going to out-activate someone anyway, and that's kind of the point of the list. But if you're playing a list like, say, 2-ship, well, you have 2 options. You play Rebel 2-ship or you play Imperial 2-ship. Rebel 2-ship is, well, you get out-activated and horribly killed. Imperial 2-ship is you run a Star Destroyer, a Quasar, a bunch of squadrons, or SSD and a Star Destroyer or something like that, I suppose. But usually it's Star Destroyer, Quasar, bunch of squadrons, Sloane is your commander, and then you put Governor Price on either the Quasar or the Star Destroyer, and then no one wants to play with you because it's a degenerate scumbag list. Now, Governor Price is illegal. Imperial 2-ship has taken a massive, massive hit thanks to this new pass system. Huge, huge nerf to Imperial 2-ship. Because Imperial 2-ship was, well, I'll just slowly move my Star Destroyer up, and then I'll move my Quasar in, and I'll have a massive bid, and then I'll be able to last first you with my Quasar and a bunch of squadrons, and remove all your defense tokens with Sloane, or just deal a ton of damage if I'm doing like Thrawn bombers, and then absolutely destroy you, and there's nothing you can do about it because Sloane and Governor Price, and I'm going first because I have a 25-point bid or something ridiculous like that. So this is a Rebel 2-ship list that I threw together, and I actually put this list together a while ago. I've had to tweak it a little bit with some of the points changes, like as you can see, leading shots is 6 points now. But this is definitely, I think, a somewhat viable list. I have no evidence whatsoever to back that claim up at all. I need to take this list out and actually play it. I haven't been able to, thanks to lockdown. But I definitely think that Rebels can see some success with two ship now. Obviously, that opinion is very likely to change when we actually get to play a lot and try out these changes when, all our local game shops are no longer closed. But I definitely think two ship lists can see some success now if you're playing Rebels. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what sorts of ships that the Separatists and the Republic get to see how they might work. But I think these changes now mean that with expensive enough ships, different factions can run two ship other than just Empire, who's running Price, and see some success. So that about wraps this video up. Let me know what you think down in the comments about this whole new pass system. Do you get it? Do you not get it? Did you think you got it and then you listened to this video and now you're completely confused? Or were you completely confused and now I've made everything clear for you? Well, let me know. Let me know, because I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this, because I think this is a great change, but obviously I know a lot of other people may have some different opinions. Also, I am still waiting to get my upgrade card collection. It's still in the mail. But when I do get it, I will be going over all the different changes to the different upgrade cards in the game. We talked about some in the video, and you saw some, like leading shots costs a couple more points, and Bail Organa, Governor Price, and Strategic Advisor are not in the upgrade card collection because they're no longer legal to play. But when I get the upgrade card collection, I will be going over all of those because there are some really, really good changes. I'm probably not going to get it before my next planned video, which should be coming out later this week. I'm going to be talking about the changes to the evade mechanics and also the changes to Princess Leia, because Rebel MSU lists, I think, are getting some very, very good changes. Some are for the better, some, well, for the fleets at least, are worse, but for the game overall, they're definitely better, in my opinion. And I want to talk about those. So, look forward to that email later in this week. But until then, let me know what you think of everything down in the comments, and I will talk to you next time.